Welcome to another episode of I Quit My Job, where we share those inspiring stories from the ordinary to the extraordinary. Today's guest we have is Danny. And Danny, thank you so much for accepting to come on
My
here.
pleasure, my pleasure.
And we're going to follow Danny's journey as the lead chef working inside one of Toronto's like trendiest neighborhood restaurant, the Rushton. And he's the head chef. So we're going to hear his story, his journey. We're going to hear about his first day and all of that. And we're going to hear about the trials and tribulations of running a restaurant and all the things in between. And then we're just going to jump into it. So, Danny, thank you so much, brother.
My
Oh
pleasure,
man,
my
thank you for
pleasure.
coming in and sharing that story with us. And thank Frank for the sponsor. Yeah, you know this.
I'll make sure I'll mention it.
Oh, for sure. Tell us a little bit how you got into chefing or what were you doing before? Like I understand you're from Bulgaria.
I'll try to put it into the shortest
Yeah.
time possible. Yeah, I immigrated to Canada in 2004. I've been here, what now, 20, 21 years.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I came here. My mom moved from my country here. She was with a theater troupe.
What was that final straw that said, "Hey, I'm gonna go become a chef"? What was going on prior to that?
I guess that happened like in kind of like a domino effect. I've always been very interested and very attracted to the cooking. I've always enjoyed it a lot at home. I'm self-taught. I've never been to school or anywhere.
No school?
The
What's going
the what's go- yeah, I was always very into it, and I had a few stints in restaurants over time. But the way that life took me, for one reason or the other, I never ended up having like the time to keep it like in a consistent career. So, yeah, I was working construction for maybe 7, 8 years, and I had a problem with my knee. I had to do a surgery. It was just on the first day of COVID, and I had it. And after that, my girlfriend was like, "This is it.
This is it.
Like, do it." It's like you're
Okay.
gonna start. You're
Okay.
gonna start from the bottom. We know, but like this is it. You're now working now on a different job. You quit it. Just go for it, and like we're gonna push through. I'm working. We'll survive. And honestly,
Oh, nice.
that was the first
Nice.
push to it.
So you always had a little plan of one day you're
Yeah.
saying you and your girlfriend
Yes.
would have that talk.
I did have the plan all along. It wasn't the plan when I was 20, but I think around 25, 27, the plan started to form a little bit more. Then we got to move to St. Clair. I live, fortunately, right next door to where I work.
Right.
We were just passing one day, like maybe half a year after we moved, and there was a sign that they were hiring. So I gave it a shot, which was another funniest story.
No.
I got my interview.
Oh, wow. Wow, share that, man. Share how you got an interview.
That was a funny one. You know our friend Vinny,
Vinny the mayor.
Vinny the mayor of St. Clair. Yes, he was actually the very first person I met. And one day we were passing by the restaurant with my girlfriend. We were walking our dogs. I see the sign and I'm like, okay, I should just apply. And I see Vinny inside right next to, now I know was Frank. So I called Vinny. I'm like, hey, can you put in a word? I'm like, I want to get an interview if
Right.
possible or something. And he went inside, talked to Frank, and Frank kind of did these gestures. And I was like, oh, shoot, I'm going to have problems with this fella. I'm not getting an interview. But lucky enough, 3 days later, I get a phone call and I get to ask, Frank calls me, is like, hey, are you still interested in the job? And I'm like, yeah, of course. Yeah, I am. He's like, okay, come for an interview. And then I go on the next day, an interview. We sit down and we start talking. And I thought about it, what I'm gonna be saying. Just you know how it is in
Yeah.
interviews.
Yeah.
It's fake it till we make it. You say stuff that are not completely always true. And I definitely did not have the experience on paper. I was like, hey, listen, I'll be straightforward with you. My resume does not have the experience that you're looking for this kitchen. But what I offer is you give me 2 days, I work for you. You like me, I stay. You don't, shake hands, and I go. He looked at me. He's like, okay, let's do it. He took a leap of faith for me. I hope it turned out in a way that it paid off for both
Right.
of us.
Right. So that's how you got into it. You saw the sign.
Yeah.
You weren't even
Yeah.
you weren't even nervous, and then you used the link that you had. Like, how important is like kind of using your support system? Like in that case, your girlfriend was like on you to say, "Hey, we can do it." And then you met Vinny, and Vinny was able to make that introduction. And you know what I mean? Like, so how would you rate that in your becoming a chef?
Honestly, irreplaceable. I mean, like I gotta say, it wasn't her, Caitlin. I don't know if I would have gone in the kitchen. I
Right.
gotta be honest. I am a risk taker by nature, but when you care for more than yourself, it is a concern always in my head. Like, I didn't want to make a risky jump because like I was making a decent money in my
Right.
construction job. Wasn't like crazy, but it was
Right.
better than what I would have when I started in the kitchen. When you start in the kitchen, you start from the bottom.
Mhm. So how important is the support system?
Honestly, if it wasn't her, I don't know if I would have been willing to make that risk. I mean, shout out to Caitlin,
Right, right.
my rock.
Big up Caitlin, yes.
What it happens is anything that you pursue, if you want to be good at it, the best at it, whatever the level that you're aiming at, it requires a lot of sacrifices.
Mhm. So along with that support system, was there anything prior that would say prepared you for like becoming a chef to where you're at right now?
I mean, I like to think that everything that you do in your life in some way teaches you and gets you ready for your next step, whatever that is.
Right,
Honestly, I've done a lot of different jobs. I'm a little bit of a jack of all trades. I've
right,
done like
right.
tons of different career paths.
Mhm.
And I'd like to think that the most thing that taught me in my job is my maturing. Like, I used to be like very energetic, kind of jumpy type of person, make quick decisions.
Mhm.
But now I started realizing that me calming down and kind of like take a step back and like observe what's happening around me
Right.
seems to be like helping me a lot more these days.
We're all caught up. We know you're a chef. We know the kind of ways you got into it. Your first day, what was it like? And that first day could be over a period of time.
So it wasn't really like a designated day that like, oh, I'm the chef. It was more of a thing that happened over time and I kind of took the responsibility over.
Mhm.
Of course, we had a talk with my boss and like
Did you
yeah,
want to become that chef at
I
that time?
I think so deep down,
Right.
even though I
Yeah.
never really thought about it in my
Okay.
head. I
Okay.
just I just I naturally gravitate towards like leadership positions. I'm outspoken,
Mhm.
maybe a little bit too much. I'm sure
Uh-huh.
anybody who knows me and watches that will be laughing at that moment right now. I talk a lot, usually always with good intentions. I'm just very passionate at what I do.
So what were some of those experiences? Was there things like you wish you could have done differently in prepping you for those first days over a
Right.
time
I
period?
mean, come on, man. Of
Like,
course.
so what were some of the things you would have changed or not changed?
I would have changed my thinking that I know everything.
Oh, nice.
That is definitely one thing. I came in with this attitude that oh, I know everything and I know better than most. Even though I wouldn't be like in their face saying that, but like
Right.
it was a very I thought that like my knowledge will it would be what gets me further.
And where would this knowledge come from if this is your life?
I'm just a maniac on cooking. I watch a lot now today with
Okay,
social
okay,
social
okay.
platforms. You can see a lot of the world even without
Yeah.
traveling.
So you seep that in. That is your knowledge.
Like a
That's
sponge,
okay.
like
Okay.
a
Nice.
sponge.
Nice.
I mean, I think that's the thing that drives us the most to be successful at what we do is the passion for it. Specifically, working in the industry, and especially in the kitchen, if you're not there with at least some amount of passion and like
Mhm,
you wanting to be there,
mhm.
it's a really hard place to be.
So now you're like, you got your first day, you got your team. What was that like leading a team and
There was a little bit of a firework in the beginning. Ego is a funny thing.
right,
You think that you know, and everything that comes out of your hands is like the best, but that's not really the case. Always, you always strive for being perfect, but in high pace environments, mistakes are
mm,
inevitable. And my first time ever facing something like that, it was very strange for me. It was very humbling because like I wanted to say so many things that I don't think that would have been right. And then you experience it a few more times and you just start to learn that okay, I shouldn't be focusing on the problem. I should be focusing on the solution.
right,
How can I rectify this solution? How can I make sure at the end of the day we're aiming to make a customer happy?
right,
Somebody that came in and they don't want to be cooking, they don't want to be cleaning, they came to enjoy themselves. So how are we going to make that
right, right.
better?
So where's the communication? Like you have yourself and then you have the server that takes it to the
Yeah.
customer. So how do you keep everybody balanced and knowing that you're so young and coming into that?
Uh,
Because that's your team, right? I'm assuming
it
that's
It is very difficult. What I realized is, at the end of the day, the responsibility falls on me, and I never try to put it on my team. I would have a talk with them if there's something to be talked about. It's very important that the mood of the kitchen doesn't change, especially in the middle of service. You've heard me. I'm a
Mm.
pretty outspoken person.
Right, right,
If there's a
right.
problem, I approach it right away, and
Okay.
maybe sometimes a little too much, but
Right. We all do that, man. Like you said, it comes out of passion. And when you're passionate for something,
yeah.
sometimes you may speak out of turn. Speaking out of turn, like we're now in the turning point. So we now know how you got into it. We know what your first days were like.
Hmm.
We know how you now can control a team. You see this guy on St. Clair, he's a shark. No stopping him to like you can't stop him at all.
Uh,
Somebody comes out the back, like, keep it moving.
come Alright, alright. Sure. I don't like to think about it like that. I do love the fact that it's a smaller community around here, and it reminds me of back home when
Right.
you're like you kind of know everybody that lives around here.
Nice.
And the first time when I took over the kitchen, I did work with a few people that were older than me, and not only that, I had one gentleman that worked for me that was he had more experience in the kitchen than I was alive.
Right.
So that was a very tricky situation because I mean, how do you teach? Do you show? What do you do?
Yeah, well, that's the method we want to know. How did you do?
What I realize is that every day I can learn something.
Oh, nice.
I'm not, I don't know everything. I don't have all the knowledge. And earlier that I realized that, and I accept that somebody can teach me even if they work for me theoretically, that was the moment I realized how to deal with that. Because of course you have to establish leadership and some sort of respect around, but I think that comes from work ethic, how you carry yourself, how you talk to people. Even if I'm loud and I'm sometimes pushy and edgy, I have immense amount of respect for everyone that works for me.
Here we are in our turning points, right? Your values going in to your values coming out now.
Mm.
Have they changed at any point?
It's a very interesting question. Okay, so I would put it like that. Some of my values got even more concrete in what I believed going in, and some of them got a little altered.
Right.
And I think that comes with experience. I come from a culture where the mentality of my people is, at least where I grew up, it wasn't very career oriented. We were more of like people that live life and enjoy the little things in life. I've never been really career, but then I spent most of my time in North America, and you realize that it's either you are or you're not per here.
Right.
And when I started cooking, I realized that I just haven't found what I wanted to do. My mentality changed in that way. Suddenly became very focused, very ambitious, very motivated.
Right.
I was willing to do, and I am still, I'd like to think, even though now I started to try to balance my way of life, because it's working in a kitchen for 14, 15 hours a day, 6 days a week is unhealthy
Right. Right.
in any way that you look at it. But yeah, you become a little manic, like obsessed. I
Mhm.
think about cooking all the time.
So are you cooking from a set menu or are you now creating menus on your
The menu of the Rushton, I think essence of it, most of the menu, I don't think has been changed since it's been open. Like there's staples that stayed there over time, and
right.
I think if I believe correct, Frank created that menu. The idea was to create something that what's the food that you wanna have but you don't wanna make at your house, which I actually liked a lot. But where I show my signatures, I guess, is my specials.
And
But overall, I think the most important part is like producing everything in a consistent form. Creativity is not always like the most sought after thing, especially for a neighborhood.
right,
Sure.
right, right.
I do believe that, like, because we have people that come see us like 3 times a week.
Mhm.
We have to produce the same quality. I mean, there's a lot of people that come in. You come in.
I'm talking
No.
about Vinny the mayor who comes
Oh yeah, he's the one. He's the one. We see him every day.
every day.
He's an essential part of our restaurant. I
Yeah.
think he helps us a lot with always something to be fixed.
Is there a point where you got to where you're like, I'm done with this?
Sorry. Yes, I do think about it all the time, in a way that not really like I'm done with this. I
Right.
mean, obviously, we have those days, especially working in a high pace environment. You have those days more often than you think. The thing is, like, you start thinking to yourself, how long can I do this? Working in a kitchen is not something that I think, I mean, at least at this pace, I don't think it's something that you can continuously do for 20, 30 years. I
Right.
mean, there's people that do it, but
Right.
like they pay a big price for it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Hmm.
in all honesty, as much as like I'd like to think that I'll be behind a kitchen for a long time, I don't think that that will be something that I can do on a full-time basis for long.
Right.
I think that whenever my next step comes in, hopefully I can open something on my own. I will be a lot more in the back,
Yes.
kind of
Yes.
like when I'm needed, when I need to show, when I need to teach, when I need to be there. I don't think you can do that in your 70s and
Right.
80s
Right.
or 60s
Right.
and pushing it real hard. It's just, it takes quite a bit out of you.
Right, right. What would you say to somebody else that's out there now that's looking at all the things that you accomplished in your own unique way? It's not a path that was taken by everyone else. Now someone else is looking at you saying, "Hey, I think I can do the same thing." But what are some of those gems, man?
Listen, I think that if you put your mind to something and you're really like I said, I think passion is really, really important. But you have to be very honest with yourself if you're willing to put the blood, sweat, and tears that inevitably are going to be there.
Now you're a star chef, and you
Ah,
start
come on,
doing.
no, no, I
You're getting those oils, and you're getting the rubs, and I get it.
I
I
still
mean,
cut myself quite a bit, but I mean, I do delegate a lot more these days.
well, because you got one hand on the phone and one hand like this.
Yeah, I'd like to think that I delegate a lot more these days. It takes a lot. It takes a lot, and you have to be willing to put in the effort. And I wasn't really sure if I was ready to put in the effort in the beginning. First month, and when I was working in the kitchen,
Mhm.
I called my partner and I go to her. I'm like, I must be a masochist of some sort. And she's like, "What do you mean?" I told her, I'm like, I find happiness and fulfillment in a such a hard job, and like
Right,
most of the time very, very underappreciated,
right.
in my opinion.
What world are you talking about? You know the world that I see?
If
Chefs are glamorized.
I okay, okay, I mean,
No, I get
to
that
some
point.
extent that's true. I don't think that I don't like to put myself in that sphere that you're talking about. I do appreciate, of course, when people give me a compliment that they've enjoyed my food.
What would you say to someone? Keep going, keep moving, like
I would say if you really want it,
right,
you be ready to put a lot of effort into it. And if I have to give them an advice, is learn, learn, sponge everything. Don't be afraid to say that you don't know something. Don't be afraid to think that if you say that you don't know something, people will think less of you. That is absolute BS. I think that the earlier that you accept that you don't know all, eventually you realize that, oh my God, I don't know all
right.
and I can always learn. And I think that's what made me the better part of me being a chef is that I accepted that.
Right.
Like I said, I came in with a lot of
It
ego at first, and then I humbled myself very quickly. Or I mean, the people around me and the work humbled me.
so is it a conventional approach yours to being the head chef?
I think the mine is a little bit more of a weird situation, I would say.
Mhm.
I think that more conventional ways is a lot of people that want to be chefs, they start way younger.
Okay. Okay.
They set themselves up in a way that the final goal would be being a chef. Where mine, I was kind of like I think like a leaf blown by the wind and going
Anywhere.
a different. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, and
Right.
people were always telling me, "Oh, you do good in the kitchen. Why? Or you cook nicely. Why don't you go in the kitchen?"
Right.
And I didn't really want to do it. I was
Right.
like, "Nah, I have bigger plans for myself."
Mhm.
And then I realized that bigger plans doesn't necessarily mean that they actually have to be bigger plans, because I do believe that my career or our work as cooks, forget about chefs,
Mhm.
means something. Taking care of somebody, nurturing them is is essential. It's necessary. Being able to sit on a table and somebody to take care of you and like just to show you in one way or the other that you're, appreciated, because serving somebody food, that's the basic idea of it, right? Like
Mhm.
being taking care of somebody. I think that there has to be a balance. At the end of the day, your business, and business needs to make money. So there's different aspects of how it's supposed to work, but I do thoroughly believe that like making a connection and establishing that kind of intimacy between a customer should be a priority. I think that good food only takes you some level.
Right.
Good service takes you only to some level. I think like being able to connect with people in some way is what is that extra thing that
Wow.
no fancy designs, no fine dine painting
Nice. Nice.
will beat.
I love the way you look at it. So, on that note, man, I really appreciate you coming in. Is there anything you want to know about what we have going on in here?
Things I didn't know that you're even bigger jack of all trades. I think I have to join your tech classes.
Oh man. Oh, yeah,
Introduce
yeah,
me
yeah,
to all
yeah.
of this.
Here, let's get frank here.
Oh, that will be peachy. I'll pull out the next Jamie Oliver.
All right, all right. Yeah, do it, do it. You guys gotta have that look. You say like,
Uh,
what did you say your dad says? Don't trust the what?
don't trust the skinny cook. As you see, you can trust me.
All right, thank you so much, brother.
No, man, that was my pleasure. That
For
was
everybody out there, thank you for peeping this episode. It was amazing. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit us up, watch it on YouTube,
or
or be
come
there,
see me.
or come see Danny at the
Yeah.
Russian.